Hallo studenten. At least I hope I can say studente and not student, because that would mean only one person is watching this. How does that work? You'll find out in today's video about plurals. I mentioned the plurals when I talked about the articles de and het. So which article did we use with the plurals? Do you remember? It is de and not het. We always use de with plural nouns. But how to make the plurals? Say you've got a perfectly good noun like tafel. What to do now? Well, there's two ways to tackle this, and for the first way, you need to know where the emphasis in the word is. So which part is pronounced more strongly. So in the case of tafel, it's not the last part, it's the first part. So it gets an S. Eén tafel, twee tafels. But if the emphasis is on the last part of the word, like student, één student, twee studenten. I don't pronounce the N at the end as you usually don't after a schwa. So student, studente, probleem, probleme, systeem, systeme. Anything where the emphasis is on the last syllable gets en instead of an s. And when it's not, it gets an s, like tafels, but also vader, vaders, computer, computers. But if you don't know where the emphasis lies, there is another rule or a set of rules that you can apply as well. And remember, better than memorizing the rules, it is to just read a lot in Dutch and listen a lot to Dutch so that you internalize what gets an S, what gets en. Because this is way better than learning the rules. The rules are good, but there's always exceptions. And you want the language to start feeling natural at some point, more than just knowing the rules. So then the first thing to remember is that modern words are usually imported words from English or from French as well. Like I said, computer, één computer, twee computers. Eén telefoon, twee telefoons. Eén televisie, twee televisies. Eén laptop, twee laptops. Eén film, twee films. All diminutive words get an S as well. So één biertje, twee biertjes. Één meisje, twee meisjes. Één uurtje, twee uurtjes, and so on. And then there's words that end on a long vowel, like a, u, I, or o. These words get an S as well, but don't forget the apostrophe. Eén auto, twee auto's. Eén kiwi, twee kiwis. Eén oma, twee oma's. Eén café, twee cafés. So other words that usually get an S are words that end on L, M, N, R, or an E if it's a schwa. So earlier I said één café, twee cafés. This is, it ends on an E, but it's not a schwa. A word that ends on a schwa, for example, would be één secretaresse, twee secretaresses. Eén regel, twee regels. Eén bezem, twee bezems. Eén keuken, twee keukens. Eén dokter, twee dokters. So as you can hear, all of these end on a schwa with another letter. Of course, there's many exceptions to these rules, as I said. Like, for example, we have één kind, not twee kinds, but twee kinderen. Eén stad, twee steden. Eén museum, twee musea. Één glas, twee glazen. Of course, I can't go through all the exceptions, so maybe it's good to, in your notebook, just keep a page with nouns that don't follow the general rule for the plurals, and write them down whenever you come across them. Now there's one more category that I haven't mentioned yet, which are the uncountables, that we also call uncountable in Dutch, ontelbaar. A few examples of these are vuur, water, tijd, huiswerk, kleding, kaas. So if you do want to talk about quantity when you talk about these subjects, we have a way to do this. Vuur, één vlam, twee vlammen. Water, één glas water, twee glazen water. Tijd, één uur, twee uren. Huiswerk, één huiswerkmodule, twee huiswerkmodules. Kleding, één kledingstuk, twee kledingstukken. Kaas, één stuk kaas, twee stukken kaas. Okay, were you paying attention? Because if you were, you would have noticed that één glas, twee glazen, this definitely doesn't follow the general rule for plurals. This is actually a great example of an exception because here I can tell you why this exception exists. To understand, let's have a look at some similar words. Eén bas, twee bassen. Eén klas, twee klassen. Eén das, twee dassen. Eén baas, twee bazen. Eén haas, twee hazen. Eén glas, twee glazen. So why does glas follow the rule of baas, bazen and not the rule of klas, klassen? This is because it's a Germanic word that used to be pronounced with a long A, glas. The Dutch made the sound a bit shorter from glas to glas, but the plural form they didn't change, so this stayed the same. So this is kind of like a fossil from the old language that it came from. And this is how many exceptions are formed. They don't make any sense without you knowing the history of the language. Okay, so that was today's lesson about plurals. I hope you learned something. Again, it's good to read Dutch, to listen to Dutch. This is the best way to actually memorize what the plural forms of the nouns are. But these are the rules, so I hope this gives you something to fall back on. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you here for the next video. Doei!